Hey guys, this is Spark Plus Ultra here, and this is my part 2 on Redo What If Deku Had Kabane Powers. If you don't speak these Japanese kanjis, these mean family fire, or katako go kaji. I hope you like this video, and hope you subscribe. Deku has gone into the UA room and getting trained on his quirk by Izawa. And Izawa says, your quirk allows you to regenerate at a fast degree, much faster than a hyper-regenerative quirk. I mean, that is not surprising, because in the folklore, ghouls can regenerate their limbs without hesitation. And Deku says, cool, but how do I train? And Izawa says, smiling while heard that. There's a trick for it, but I think I got the guy. Then a cement wall builds up on the ground and making it tall as the trees, and Deku was at awe on how the cement came out of nowhere. And Izawa says, Deku, this is Ken Yoshiyama, or Cementos. And Cementos says, it is a great to introduce myself. Young Midoriya, I will be your training instructor. And Deku says, how does this work? And I'm glad that you asked. Knowing your pain restrict, which Miss Joe told me about. She told me that you can't feel pain. That makes it difficult for you to tell. But thanks to your regeneration, it's a even cost for you. But I got a theory. How fast can you regenerate with your whole body? What do you mean by that? Deku questions, and Deku looks at Izawa, and Izawa says, ghouls have a weakness to decapitation, which they can be decapitated, but they need room to move and make their body. So, my theory is if you can regenerate as fast, then your body can move as fast in your regeneration. And Deku is confused, but willing to try. And Izawa says, alright, I'm going to ask you one strange thing. And Deku says, what's going to be the strange part? I want you to chop your head. And Deku does it automatically. And Izawa says, Deku's head drops on the grass, and he looks at Izawa. So, is this what you mean? Now, let's see the regeneration. And holding a timer, the flames of the ghoul come and regenerate his neck to his leg in an instant. About 2 minutes. Impressive. But let's see if we can expand that to a much quicker degree. Okay, we want you to throw your head onto the wall and bite it with enough force. And Deku says, okay, and chops his head again and grabs it with his disabled, beheaded body and throws it for a second. And Deku bites down on the cement wall, and Cementos says, he bit down like it was a ballpark. How much PSI does he have? That's what I thought. Your PSI is far greater than a crocodile or surpassing it to a hippopotamus. But I'm taking a guess it's low ball, and yet your smaller feature of the ghoul's bite is about low to a hippo's. And Zuku, so what's the matter? And when Zuku says that with his mouth on the wall, and Zawa looks at the body that falls. 2 seconds. Fall at 2 seconds. And Zuku says, what? Opening his mouth and says, what falls at 2 seconds? And drops his head down on the, and Zawa grabs his head. That's what I thought. You need to do better on keeping your thinking on that one thing and keep it on the other. You're too distracted on that one thing. And Zuku, realizing what he's talking, you mean that you want me to move my body while moving my head at the same time? And Zoa says, yeah. And Zuku regenerates his body and does the training like 16 times and improving his speed. And Zoa says, okay, we'll do this every week. And Zuku says, alright. And Zoa says, good job. Your mom would be proud. And when saying that, Miss Joke says, hey, Azawa! And Azawa says, now get some rest. And Zuku goes to Miss Joke. And Miss Joke says, how is it doing? Zuku, are you doing great? Did Azawa push you hard? Whispering to his ear. And Zuku says, no, he didn't push me hard. Well, that's great. How's his handling on his regeneration? Well, his regeneration is fast, but we're getting it to mix with his strength. He can only concentrate on one thing. Even his body can fall down while not concentrating. And Miss Choke says, that's amazing, but how can he do that? His concentration is lacking, but he can think while doing the zone objective. His flight force about evens out to a hippopotamus, well, lowering that. And Miss Joke says, figured he had flight force, but regeneration? Well, we'll see how well he does it over a couple years. And Azawa goes to in the home, and Zuko goes into the UA room, and Miss Jokes follows Zuko and talks to him. Hey Zuko, it's like a new room for you. And Zuko says, yeah, it really does, with a frowning face a bit, not showing his expression that much. And Miss Joke says, what's the matter? And Zuko says, it's fine, with a smile. And Miss Joke says, you need to work on your expression sometimes. Is it because of you not being here? And Zuko says, I've never been that far without a family member. And Miss Joke says, oh, don't worry, Zuko. I'm always going to be there. Always going to help you and support you. I'll try my best to figure out how to control your quirk much better. And Zuko says, thank you, Miss Joke. And Miss Joke says, hey, cut out with the introductions. You can call me your mom if you want. And Miss Joke tries to explain a joke to Zuko, but failing to know what it means. And meanwhile, at 6 years have gone by, and Zuku's regeneration will have like 1 minute to 12 seconds, as fast as his body can regenerate to its whole part. Zuku's quirk is fully regenerative at the point that he can quickly regenerate his body at a mere 1 minute. And while time, he can use something unexpected. While getting some food for the morning, Zuko saw when he was grabbing an apple. He grabbed it and see the apple was decaying, and Zuko was confused on why the apple is decaying. Then goes to Aizawa, and Aizawa says, not surprising. And Zuko says, what's not surprising? As a ghoul, in the Arabian folklore, there was saying that ghouls can even decay the corpse and even decay living things, draining their essence. But for you, it's dependent. It's more of a out of control way, but it's not dangerous to living things. It just makes a reeking smell of a corpse. But you can control it. It's not dangerous, but you are immune to decaying effects. And this power, keep that in mind on the decaying part. So, how can I control decaying? Just try to not damaging it. And Zuko did some work on his decaying. And while he was working on that, a certain person comes out. So, Mr. Ozawa, how's it been? And Ozawa says, don't you have to deal with something else all night? Well, I was just checking on the young student you have. And Ozawa says, besides his mom, he's doing pretty well. And All Might says, he really knows how to control and work on his regeneration. There's more to it. He can even break off his arm, basically disassembling it. He can decay things, but not as an extreme level. But he's pretty damn strong. He can break a stone with just a couple punches, and without much thinking, he'll possibly bite through a mere tree with just one shot. Takes an axe about a few cuts if wielded correctly. And All Might says, that is really great news. And Zawa says, what else do you want, All Might? And All Might looks at Zawa. I want to know if anything could enhance his quirk even more. And Zawa says, well, his quirk regeneration rivals that of different regen quirks. But he can basically survive about decapitation. But if it's acidic flames, then his regeneration will take time. But he'll keep fighting. And All Might says, can he also wield a certain quirk? And Aizawa says, don't even try it. Huh? And All Might says, I know this doesn't sound right for me, but even I have limits. This wound from All For One. And Eraserhead says, if you ask him, he'll probably do it 10 seconds without hesitation. He's pretty single-minded, but he's pretty helpful on what to do. If you ask Miss Jokes, she'll probably say somewhere similar to me. But if he's genuinely willing to, not being forced, you can let him. And All Might says, you always know how to make things serious. Zawa, I'll go ask and have a conversation, Miss Jokes, on One for All. And Zawa says, just try not getting your ass handed to you. You may be training, he's pretty well adapt to it. And All Might talks to Miss Jokes and needs to have ask on what Zuku wants. And Zuku goes to see Miss Jokes and sees All Might. Zuku says, oh, you're the guy that helped me not hurt Mr. Bakugo. It is very nice to see you again, young Midoriya. I was having a little talk with your mom, and Zuki was wondering what was going on. And Miss Jokes say, it's Zuki. All Might wants to talk to you about a very important thing. And Zuki was very interested and with a straight face. What's the problem? And All Might says, telling the story of his quirk, One for All, and showing his scar from All for One. And Zuko says, wow, that's a nasty injury, with a straight face. And All Might says, you really show how not that expressive. And Miss Joke says, he's usually with one expression sometimes, but his quirk, I think, is the cause for his facial expression. But when he shows it, then he really shows his true personality and his feelings about it, which I haven't seen much of his emotions. He's sometimes difficult to predict, but I always care for him. I'm willing to let you give him your quirk, but I disagreed once, but I will let one time, and all I want is Zuki to choose, and it's his decision, not any of ours. He has to make the choice. And Zuki surprised on his look. Zuki is wondering what's the right choice. He never would choose that much on anything. But if he had to choose, it was depending on the meal. But he doesn't know what to do in this. He's in a confused state, trying to figure out which is going to be the right choice or not. Come on, which one is the right? And All Might says, there is no right. Even if you're expressionless, All Might look at him. You can choose what you think is right. You can have One for All and be strong or even powerful to rival other villains, but you have to keep it a secret. And Miss Joke says, if you always don't want to, it's fine. There's going to be somebody to choose and help others with his quirk. And Miss Joke smiles and says, don't always have to have a heavy burden on yourself, with a smile on her face. And Toshi says, well, now I'll let you think about it. And All Might leave, saying, I will come back and see which one you choose. And Zuko was in a state of trying to figure what is the right choice, and Tsuku sleeps, trying to think of a way to make a good decision. But when he sleeps, dreams, his flames grew around in his dream state, and Tsuku looks in at awe and sees the flame of his regeneration grow. And then Tsuku looks at it and is surprised and wondering, what does this mean? And Tsuku's flame grew as warm as a tendered soul, and the flames wrapped around him, thinking like a snake, but binds him like a warmth of a familiar soul. And Tsuku wakes up the next day, and he tells Miss Jokes, Miss Mom? And Miss Jokes says, yes? You finally decided? And Tsuku says, yes, but I don't want you to be angry. And Miss Joke says, Tsuku, I'm not always going to be angry, but I won't be always happy, but I'll make sure this smile doesn't fall off. And Tsuku gets a little happy on that statement. His expression doesn't show it, facial expression, but he shows how he thinks about it. And All Might comes by and says, are you ready to choose, young Tsuku? And Tsuku looks at All Might. Yes, I choose one for all, not because of the power, but something resides in it. Michael's flames telling me that there's more to the quirk than it shows. It shows familiar of the corpse of the dead, explaining to me that I could help them as well. So I will choose to help them. And All Might says, alright, I know this is a little too much for a little kid like, but here. And plucking his hair. And Tsuku confused, but All Might says, this is how you're going to get one for all. And Tsuku was ready, and he gulps it down with no hesitation. And I hope you liked this video and hope you subscribe. See you next time. Plus Ultra.